Trisha, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Last time we did this, I think you said it was 2 houses ago.
Yeah, for you. I think I don't even know where. I might have been living in Oklahoma. I don't even know. Can't remember. It's been a long time. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. Maybe I just moved back here.
I remember it was when you were doing
Every Girl.
the big. It was big band.
Oh yeah. So I was here. It was 18.
Yeah.
19 somewhere in there. Yeah, I was here.
COVID also.
I'm still in the same house.
I'm not. My wife. What's interesting is that my wife said to me, "You know, you're used to moving," and I said, "Yeah." And then I obviously therapied it and rooted it, and like growing up, we were never in the same house more than 2 years. And I never thought of it like it being real life stuff. We either got kicked out or had to move trailers or move to a different apartment or something. And so as I began to like have some success, it was always, I'll just move to another house.
Probably in your DNA.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I never thought about that until she said that.
Yeah.
And so with her, we had weirdos. So we had to move from our last house. There was an accessible road.
Yeah. You can't have that.
And that stupid tour bus drives by and would tell people where we lived.
When I used to live in Brentwood, and my house was on the list, and I would be in my front yard in my pajamas, and I had a fence and a gate, but it was a 4-acre lot, and the bus would drive by, and they'd get out and take pictures, and it sounds like, oh, poor you guys, you people know who you are, but your home is your sanctuary. That's the one place that you should be able to just be yourself.
And I think if they would have just chilled on the bus, that'd have been good. But they would like get in their cars and then drive back by themselves.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
they want to be your friend
yes.
because you seem like everybody's friend. So everyone wants to
you're wrong, everybody. I'm nobody's friend. I'm only here. Amy, on my show, we were talking about you on the air, and she said, you played the Bluebird lately?
Yeah.
And she was talking about something from the Bluebird, and she said, Trisha said that when she started, that she was just kind of told to sing these songs. And I'm paraphrasing, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. And she said, but, now this new album, this new project she's actually writing some of the songs. And I was like, I did not know that. How accurate is that?
Well, the writing part is accurate. I wasn't told to sing the songs, but I was not a confident songwriter. So I picked every song I recorded. And so I don't look back and go, man, I would not have recorded She's in Love with the Boy. Because Garth Fundus was my longtime producer, and he and I chose every song together. But when I was in college at Belmont, I had a guy tell me that I was not a songwriter. And I didn't even realize that it was in there. Like you were talking about moving a lot. You don't know what's in your DNA, the body keeps the score kind of thing. But I must have somehow, and I believed it. And so when I did write some in the early 90s, and I never recorded anything that I wrote, but I just didn't, when I went to work with Garth Fundus, I never said, hey, I'd like to write something for this project. It just never occurred to me to even say it. He wouldn't have said, no, you can't. But I didn't believe in myself. And so anytime anybody would say they wanted to write with me, I'd be like, oh, you don't want to write with me. I'm not really a writer. And something just happened where the switch flipped a couple of years ago. And I was like, this guy who, bless his heart, probably doesn't even remember he said it. Didn't mean anything to him, but apparently it stuck with me. But I just kind of said, that doesn't have to be the truth just because somebody else said it about me. And it just kind of opened up this whole new world. So it's not it doesn't take anything away from, I feel so lucky I have found the best songs in the world, like the song Remembers When and Walk Away Joe and She's in Love with the Boy. But it's just another level that I have not, that I kind of got out of that shell and was like, that doesn't have to be the truth. And it's opened up a whole new world for me. I'm loving it so much. Never intended to make a record of it. It was really therapy. It was like songs to my younger self. And I never thought I would make a record.
What context was that conversation where he said you're probably not a songwriter or you're not a songwriter?
Well, at Belmont, a lot of people at Belmont were singers and songwriters aspiring. And there was a group of us that were buddies. And he was a friend. He and his wife were in school together. And we were doing some writing in this group. And he said, let me see all because I came to Nashville with my stack of poetry and my songs from high school. And so I gave him this stash of stuff. And he took it and said, I'll get back with you and see if there's anything there we can work on. And he brought it all back to me basically and said, yeah, I don't think you're a songwriter. You're a really good singer. And I just was like, oh, and it's so personal. Songwriting is, it's so vulnerable to put yourself out there anyway. And if someone gives you some negative feedback, it just shut me down completely.
It's a weird mix of you're at an impressionable, creative age.
Yep.
And you're right, it is so personal. And impressionable and personal when they meet, if they don't meet almost delicately in the right exact way, I can see where you would be scarred, and not even purposely, by the person who's saying it.
Right, because I'm sure that, I've talked about him and I feel kind of bad, but I don't have any ill will toward him because it was me that made it the truth. And I was 19 years old. So, yeah, it took a long time for that to kind of get out of my head. And even my husband, who, he's in several songwriting Hall of Fames, he's been telling me for years, you're a writer. And there's a song on the Chris Gaines project, actually, that I'm a co-writer on, but that was pulling teeth, where he sat me down and said, tell me about growing up in a small town. And we had this conversation. He made it rhyme. He made it poetry, because I was like, I'm not a writer. I'll tell you what I know. And so I actually went to him after all this started, and I said, you should write with me. It'd be a lot more fun for you now because, and we have written some together, because I just feel different.
Tell me about growing up in a small town.
I mean, everybody knew your business. It was church on Sunday and football on Friday night. And we had a town square. If you ever saw the movie My Cousin Vinny, it was filmed in my hometown.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a movie I never thought that I would like, and then I watched and loved.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. But all those places are real. Like the Sack of Suds that they rob is a real place, and the courthouse and the town square. And several movies were filmed there because it's a really sleepy little town. Really 2,000 people in the city limits, and we don't have a Walmart. We don't have, so it's a great place for a movie because you can kind of go back in time a little bit. But the square was where you didn't hang out. So in my family, there's no cell phones. But if I was on the square, someone would have called my parents before I got home, and they would know that I had been on the square, and nothing good happened on the square. So it was very much a town where I felt a little bit like a fish out of water, because I knew at a really young age that I wanted to sing. I knew I wanted to get out of my small town. Had no idea how to do it. Didn't know anybody in the music industry. And everybody else, a lot of people stayed there and, their whole lives. And when I go back now, I have such a love and appreciation for the way I grew up, because the grounding, the whole town raised me, and that I carry with me. But I can't see myself having stayed there.
Our stories are similar in that where I came from, nobody really did. I'll say this, because we were only shown a version of life, and it was work at the mill or work in Hot Springs, which was town. That was, Mountain Pine had 700 people. So you worked at the mill, or you got a job possibly in town, or you worked at the school. And there weren't people that told me, don't do that. But it just wasn't real.
That's the thing.
It just wasn't a reality, and it wasn't, you can't. But it was looked at as like Hollywood. It was like, that's what you do in the movies. You don't do that in real life. And I'm curious what made you think you actually could.
Man, I don't know. You could answer the same question. There had to be something in you that knew, well, somebody's on the radio. Why can't it be me? There had to be something in there. And I think because even at a really young age, I was so musical. I was so into music, and I didn't have a backup plan. And in my hometown, if you sang, you led the church choir or you taught music, which are noble professions, but that's just not what I wanted to do. But I think there was just something in me. And when I was in high school, we had, there was a touring vocal group from Belmont that came to my school, and they performed in the gym. And when I saw them, I was like, I'm going to go to Belmont. It took me a while. I went to junior college first. I didn't get to Belmont till junior year. But somehow I felt like Nashville's where I feel like I need to be. And Nashville felt like, it was 6 hours from home, which was a lot for a kid at the time, but it felt like that's doable. Because at first I thought, well, I want to be Cher, I got to go to California, and I thought, okay, Nashville's closer. And I wanted to be Linda Ronstadt by then. And so it felt like the right place to be.
What did you think the first time you went to Los Angeles?
I loved it. I did. The first time I went to New York, I was terrified, and I now love New York. But the first time I went, I was really scared. But the first time I went to LA, I thought like every little kid from Georgia that, you're going to see, you're just going to see celebrities on the street.
Everywhere. Yeah. That's what I thought too. I was going to walk around and see them just walking down the street.
Yeah. They're going to be standing by their star on Hollywood Boulevard, but that's not how it was. But it was warm. I like that.
It was warm, and it was full of traffic. But the buildings in New York and LA New York to me was, and when I was on American Idol for so long, it was because I had their story. And because a lot of these kids, they were like shipping to LA who had never been there before. Yeah. And that's what you mentioned, like Cher in LA. And I always had dreams like, one day I'm going to go to LA. But it ended up not being the order that I thought it would. Eventually, I got out there and realized, it's not really for me. Like
Yeah.
that version of this is not really for me. But I remember the first time I got out to LA or New York, and it was just big buildings. And that to me was so intimidating because we had Little Rock, which was the city, and they had they're not even skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Sky scratchers.
Yeah.
But
we had Atlanta, which was larger than life. But that was an hour drive, and I wasn't really allowed to go to Atlanta much when I was a kid. So it was the same for me. I mean, I feel like we grew up in very similar situations that, the first time I saw the West Coast was on a tour bus. And the first time I went past the Mississippi River West was on a tour bus. So it was all new to me. And what I've learned after being in California a good bit and New York a good bit is what I love about Nashville is it has kind of elements of those cities, but there's still a community feeling here in the music community. And there's still, we are growing so much that I stopped telling people to move here. But it's still, you can find those pockets of places that feel where we live in north of town in Goodlettsville. We're in the country. We could be in Monticello, Georgia. It's like, I know everybody at the grocery store just like I did in Monticello, and it's small town right outside of a big city.
are people used to you where they don't, in your hometown here now, they don't, I won't say bother, that's not the word, but they don't make you extra busy if you go into town?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, because Garth and I do everything ourselves. It's not rare to see us at the grocery store, and I think that's when people, like, if you never go out and do stuff, I think that's when you do, it becomes a bigger deal. But it's interesting to me. He and I we'll just take the grocery store for an example. We can go there 100 times, and 99 times it'll be chill, and then that one day it'll just be autographs and pictures. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's sometimes it's like, man, my friend Deb says she sees you guys in here all the time and I've never seen you. Can I get my picture? And then that kind of starts the ball rolling, which probably that happens to you too. But most of the time people just want to tell you they love your music. Or with me, they'll want to say, hey, I'm making this recipe for blah, blah, blah. And my husband's a diabetic. Can you recommend?
Audience.
So there's a whole lot of different questions now.
That's so interesting. Can you tell what they like before they get to you of what you do?
No.
Because I can, because I've been like, I've danced on television, and usually that's like 70 and over. Like if there's somebody over 70 who's like, I'm a big fan, I'm like, you for sure watch me dance on a dancing reality show. If it's like a fan, it could be I usually can tell if they're younger, it's most of the time the podcast or a podcast.
Right.
But I guess a lot of your stuff is so interconnected.
Yeah, and the Food Network show brought a lot of younger people, oddly enough, like women that like to watch the show with their mom, even on the phone. They'd be on the phone on Saturday mornings talking, and little kids. So a lot of times when they come up to me, and a lot of the younger kids, their parents are like, she sings too, And at first that really bothered me. At first I was like, look, I'm a singer, and I don't want anybody to not know that about me. But what I learned over time is that however they find you, because we sing on the show, and however they find you, then they learn the other things about you. So it might be music, it might be food, but they eventually figure you out.
You know what's pretty good to eat is, and I've only recently had it. So I went to the doctor. It's how I like to start my story. So I go to the doctor, right? And the doctor's like, you kind of have a little bit of high blood pressure. It's I genetically have high blood pressure. Who knew?
Right.
And I didn't know. I never did any of those tests that you do. And so he's like, yeah, maybe don't eat as much red meat. I freaking love meat. My wife makes fun of me because if there's not meat in the meal, it's not a meal.
Right.
And we've been eating two things. One, like Impossible Burger.
Yep.
And tofu.
Yep.
If prepared right, they're kind of awesome.
Yep.
And you bring up food, and I've recently got on the Impossible Burger, and now their packaging is red, so I don't feel like I'm eating leaves.
Yeah.
Instead of it being green, which I would be like, oh, it's green, it's a plant. I don't want that. Little things like that can affect me, which I'm still a child in my brain. And then tofu, which I always was very anti, if prepared right, actually is pretty good. Have you mastered the art of making, I don't know, Garth or family eat things they don't know they like?
Yeah, because Garth and I we're actually in a vegan vegetarian phase right now. We go through phases. And I do make everything Southern. I know how to make all that stuff. But the challenge is, you want to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes, but how can you make them healthy? And I just made meatloaf. Not a shameless plug, but we have a meatloaf mix out on Williams Sonoma. And I said, I'm going to make it with Impossible Burger. And I just made it, and was fantastic. So to me, if you can find ways to make something and you're not putting any cholesterol in your body, it's like
That was it for me.
It's
Yeah.
a great. So for us, we're older. We, I have high cholesterol, not crazy high, but I have to watch it, and so I'm always looking for ways. I eat meat, but I don't eat it very often. And I grew up that way where there was meat at every meal. But I got away from that. And and tofu, I always hated tofu because it was just like, it tastes like air. It has no flavor. But
And the name, it just makes you feel like you don't like it.
Right.
Tofu?
right, it just sounds, but
Yeah.
there are ways, like I will slice it really thin and put like a teriyaki vibe on it and bake it. And it becomes like almost like jerky.
Yeah.
And with a great flavor, and then you slice it up and put it in a salad, and you got plenty of protein. There's ways to do it that are really good. So Garth and our whole thing is we're going to eat vegan if it's good. It's not it's good for vegan.
Right.
It's got to be good. So that's a challenge. Sometimes you would have to, but you can do it.
My favorite meal, or what's the meal you're going to have before you die, is chicken fried steak with white gravy, mashed potatoes with white gravy. It's a lot of white gravy.
A lot of white gravy.
It's a lot of white gravy. Fried okra. That's it for me. Like, that's the one. What is yours?
Probably fried chicken, mashed potatoes. I'm not really a gravy person, which is weird. Garth's a big gravy person. Or our Sunday dinner was always roast beef and rice and gravy, brown gravy. And that was one of my favorite things.
Like, household traditionally, you guys had roast beef on Sundays, like
Yep.
after church or something?
Yep, every Sunday.
And who made that?
My mom.
She a good cook?
She was amazing.
Is that where you learned the fundamentals?
Yeah, and my dad was a really good cook too. So they were just cooks. They were basic cooks. So when we started and we did the first book, it was really just a way to get everything in one place. A lot of things were not written down. So my mom had to write everything down, and she and myself and my sister did the book. And then when it was successful, we started having to create recipes and come up with things. And a lot of things that we realized we make all the time that weren't in a book. And it's basic stuff. Like, if you don't know how to cook green beans down, you don't know how to do it. It's like, it's not hard, but if you don't know, you don't know. So our approach, and I learned that most people who cook like that. They're not chefs. So they don't use exotic spices. They use salt and pepper, and they might use a little garlic powder if they're getting crazy. So we keep it pretty simple.
You just started a TikTok account?
I did.
What's just? Because I've seen you popped up on my For You page, and I just thought they fed you to me after all these years. But then I looked, and there weren't a ton of videos up. How long have you been doing TikTok?
A couple weeks. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to have an account to be able to look at TikTok. So I have it on my phone. I've had it on my phone for like a year. And I resisted for a long time. And what I learned about TikTok in that time was that I would give up everything in my life and just be sitting home watching TikTok. I would give up I couldn't be here today because I'm watching TikTok. So I had to give myself a parameter. So every day, and Mandy's here knows this because I'll send her TikToks. She knows I'm running the dogs. Because when I run my dogs, if I'm hiking them, I'm not on my phone. But if I'm driving in a little ATV and they're running, I'll get on TikTok. So that's like my 30 minutes I'm obsessed.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
all. So you only do 30 minutes. See,
Yeah,
I have to
can't.
like find 30 minutes where I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I can't. And I live with a guy who's not on social media. Like, he's on it as a personality, but he doesn't care. He doesn't check his
personal interest isn't to go to social media and
not
see what's going
in
on.
any way.
Yeah.
So I can't. If he was scrolling, it'd be easier for me to be scrolling, but he does not. So I don't when we're together, which is most of the time. So my 30 minutes with the dogs is when I'll scroll.
What have you found people like from you?
I think everybody. I mean, I have my dogs are they're my recreational time, and I find when I post a video of them or that I'm sure you're the same way. People just want to know what you're doing when you're not doing this, and so a lot of it's just hiking or what am I cooking, or I just made a video. I haven't posted it yet of me because I had my hair and makeup done this morning for this podcast and this one and the one I did before, and I don't do this myself. I don't really have the time or patience for hair extensions and makeup. So I did a take off the day. And people are always doing the TikToks where they're putting on their makeup. And I'm like, I took all my hair out. It took a while. And I took my makeup off. And I want to time lapse it and post it. Because I feel like that's something people probably interested in. To be like, this is not what I'm not going to wear makeup to go to the grocery store.
That's funny.
I don't know.
And
what do you put? What are your
that's
things?
that's also vulnerable.
Yeah, but I remember the first time that I posted myself with no makeup. We we did when the cooking show was live every Saturday. We did a live, not live, but the show came on Saturdays. We did a live coffee talk every Saturday morning before the show. And I said, I'll do it, but I don't want to have to be in hair and makeup. I want to be in my pajamas if I want. I want to be drinking coffee. So that kind of started it. And so now, and then COVID made it okay I saw myself in no makeup every single day, and I just don't care. So I don't care. I don't really care anymore. It's like sometimes I'm in makeup, sometimes I'm not. It's fine.
How do you deal with rejection?
I'm not well. I mean, we're in this day and age where if you say, good morning, I'm having a cup of coffee, you'll get hate for, I don't drink coffee, I only drink tea, I hate you, I'll never buy your records again. I'm like, well, you're not buying my records anyway, so it's fine. So I really don't look at the way I deal with rejection is I just don't look at I don't look at any of the comments. I just can't. I just don't have time anymore. I don't need that negativity. And, rejection in business, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I haven't had a ton of that, but I'm at an age where I take everything on as like where I never believed it before. Of like everything happens the way it's supposed to. So and with this album, I'm always nervous when an album comes out, and for this one, I'm just not because I don't have an expectation other than I love what I'm doing, and I feel such peace about this project that it's like a piece of art. You may love it, it might not be your thing, and I'm good with that. I'm good with however it falls.
You say expectation. What's the best case scenario with the new project? What is the absolute best thing that could happen with this?
It could win a Grammy. I want more. I want people to know about it because it's so personal. I just want as many people to hear it as possible. And the avenues are so different now than they were when I started. It's hard for me to wrap my head around focus tracks versus singles at radio, and how does that really help you? And everything is so social media these days. So so for me, it's the best thing that can happen is that it gets the word out. And, I've won awards and not won awards. I've been nominated and lost. So it's not really all about that. But to me, when I said that, it's like that would mean that people heard it and recognized it and appreciated it.
So the record, when you say it's very personal, the first thing I'm drawn to when I look at it is the people that you get to sing with you on it because what you're singing about is so personal. So to pick people to come into it with you is also very personal when your project is very personal. I love Hailey Whitters.
I love her.
Like, as a person, as an artist, her story, then her story now. Like, I just like who Hailey is.
Yeah.
Why Hailey?
Well, I started writing with Hailey first. Chad Carlson, who's my co-producer and engineer on this record, is a writer also. And he and I wrote some things together on this record. And he said, would you want to write with Hailey? He's buddies with her. And I said, yeah. And I had met Hailey before because she had done a song that she said was kind of inspired by She's in Love with the Boy and asked me to sing on it. So she and I know each other. And we got together and wrote a song about our moms. It didn't make the record, but it could make a future record. I don't know. I loved it. And we just kept getting together to write. And so we wrote a song called Drunk Works that's really funny. It's funny because my serious songwriter friends are like, so glad you didn't do some song about like girls going down to Broadway and drinking. I'm like, well, really sorry to disappoint you, but that's a song that we did write. And when we were writing it, we were laughing so hard on the work tape. Hailey is laughing at the end so much it's so great that I was like, I want to hear her on the record. And so we just asked if she'd come in and do a duet. So it's doubly personal because it's Hailey, and I feel like I'm getting to say thank you for having me on her record, but also she's a writer, so it on the single on the song.
Did you have fun in Nashville when you're 21?
Did I have fun in Nashville when I was 21? No.
Is it why not?
Well, I mean, I was in school. I wasn't a partier. Broadway was, just really not a place you went. It was really a dangerous part of town. There wasn't anything like it is obviously now. And there wasn't really anywhere to go. There was a couple of restaurants that some of the students we'd go hang out at, and then right while I was still in college, I got an internship at MTM Records, Mary Tyler Moore Records, and so I was working, and then I got a job singing. I was singing in a bowling alley on the weekends.
What were you singing?
Top 40, like everything from Ronstadt to Whitney Houston to everything.
For how long?
I did it for a couple of years.
And how long each time, each shift?
You'd sing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you'd sing from like 7 to 1, maybe longer on the week, maybe at 2 on the weekend, and then you get $200 for the weekend. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot, and people are sitting right in front of you, smoking in your face, and then I started doing demos, and I realized that I could, get more work. I use my hands a lot. I could get more work in demos if I quit the night job. And also, I sounded like I had smoked 2 cartons of cigarettes the night before in the morning at a 10 o'clock session. So I finally made the transition and realized I could make a lot more money doing demos, even though that was $40 a tune. I did a lot of demos, and I made my own hours, made my own work, and I did really well. So gave up the bowling alley.
Did you ever give up the big dream while you were here?
No. No, I never did. I mean, I always believed that this is what I was supposed to do because I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have if I can't be an artist, I want to be in the music industry. That would have been torture to be in the music industry and not doing this. This was all I ever wanted to do. I actually, during my demo days, one of the guys that heard me sing, this was in the 90s or the 80s when, what's the name of the band that Paulette Carlson was the lead singer for? High 101. Yeah, thank you. This is COVID menopause brain. I'm not sure which one. Anyway, she was
I have
leaving.
the same brain.
She was leaving. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you might be in menopause. Anyway, she was leaving the band, and they were auditioning singers to take her place, and I got asked to audition, and I did, and I made it to the final couple of people, and they flew me out to Denver to meet the manager. And when I got home, I thought, I don't know if they're going to offer this to me or not, but I feel like if I take it, I'm stepping into a successful group that no one's going to be able to be Paulette Carlson or make people forget that. Such a successful group. And then I'm also kind of saying, well, you believed in yourself your whole life that you could be a solo artist, but now you're going to give up and do this. And so I sent a letter and said, I'm going to take myself out of the running.
Wow.
And I did. And I don't know if they would have offered it to me or not, but I think the way they tell it, they rejected me, but I don't think that's not what happened.
What an interesting crossroads. I was talking yesterday because I think there are these moments in our life that, we make the decision and then we live with the decision and we can look at it and go, I either learned from it or I'm glad I made it or who knows. But I was offered one of the judging jobs on The Masked Singer before the show started. And I didn't know what that show was. That wasn't an American show. It was from like Japan.
Right.
And they were like, come be a judge on this show. And at the same time, I just started to have some success in television. And I had done my first season on Idol, but I wasn't full-time yet. I had done like half the episodes. And they said, hey, come do full-time on Idol. But I was like 5th string because there was the judges, there was Seacrest, and there was me. And I was on every episode, but I still wasn't one of the main 3. And they also were like, but you'll do Dancing with the Stars as well. And I had to decide. And I said, I've never heard of The Masked Singer, so I'm going to go do American Idol and Dancing with the Stars. And I'm super happy that I did. Like looking back, I think I would have made the same decision. But what a weird decision to have to make. Yours reminded me of that because here you are. You've been trying to make it. Here's a path to making it.
Right.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, and I didn't have anything on the other side. I didn't have a record deal. I didn't,
Wow.
So I don't know. I'm really glad I made it.
Why do you think you did that? Like, why?
I don't know.
Because I don't know that I would make the same decision. I'd be like, I get to get paid a little more and go travel. I think I'm going to go do it. I think that was a very mature decision to make for however old you were.
Yeah, I mean, I was 22, something like that.
And you really believed in yourself.
I guess I did. I guess there was something deep down. I mean, because when I look at that and think about it, I'm like, why didn't you? I mean, It was really gutsy to not take that gig. It was a sure thing. But I mean, it was the right move because I think it was obviously the right move for me. And I think I got a record deal within a couple of years.
I would be proud. Are you proud of yourself? Not just for that, but in general. Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm proud of myself because I come from a very small town and I never gave up on a really big, impossible dream. And I get to do it for a living.
When were you able to look back and go, I'm proud of myself?
Maybe today.
No.
I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that question.
It's a weird question. I've only through therapy started to I have to look at myself through another lens, or I hate everything I do.
Yeah, it's hard to say it about yourself.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's a weird question to ask yourself, much less anybody else. But like,
I might need your therapist.
It's I go to a psychiatrist who can prescribe medicine. I've never been, and here's the thing about that: they cost like 3 times as much.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it sucks.
Do you know what I did that that Amy turned me on to, actually? Amy did an interview with a woman who does lens therapy. Do you know about this? The brain. And I go to her, and it's changed my life.
Okay. See, I think for some reason you were meant to sit in that chair and tell me that today.
Really?
Now I'm going to tell you what happened.
Because I don't ever talk about this.
No,
well, I do. I do with all my friends, but not on, publicly.
So Amy bought me a gift of that, and I've never used it. And she bought it for me many, many seasons ago. And I feel like, I don't want to go to sit and have them do some brain work. Amy Grant was also somebody who would talk about it and has talked to me about it.
Yeah.
And this morning I'm driving into work. And I've been kind of kicking the can with it. And I was like, I'm just going to tell Amy that if she just sets the appointment, I will go. And I forgot to tell her this morning. Or I just was like, you know what, screw it. The fact that you said that on the same day that I told him, that's weird.
That means you need to do it. So for me, I had COVID like everybody did, and I had a mild case of COVID, but it really messed with my smell and taste. And I also so I would say I'm a long COVID person. So I had all the brain fog. I'm 60. People are like, you're in menopause. I'm like, yeah, but this is different. Like I'm looking at a rolling pin and I can't name it. So I either have early onset Alzheimer's or something's wrong. And so a friend of mine, Callie, heard Amy's interview with Sherry at Lens Therapy and told me about it. And I went. And I didn't tell anybody I was going because I'm like, I don't even know. I don't understand what this does. And the first thing I noticed was that I was sleeping better than I'd slept in 10 years. And then I noticed the fog start to lift. And if you've ever had surgery, if you've ever had anesthesia, your brain stays asleep. My brain was asleep. And
I didn't know you just said.
If you've ever had anesthesia, your brain doesn't fully wake back up. So everybody could benefit from having their brain awake.
So what happened when you go? What happens?
So they put these little electrodes. It looks like you're about to get like shock therapy, but it's not that. There's little electrodes. First, they're grounded on your ears, and they hit little different spots. I think there's 21 places on your brain, and you'll hit like retention. Like if you're reading, do you retain what you're reading? Motivation, childhood memory. So it's like you're going to therapy in a way, but you're not talking about it. It's just your brain waves are sitting here in a rut, or if you hit a block every time, and this tiny little charge, you don't feel it, lifts those brain waves and they go, oh, there's a better way. And I mean, I feel like my brain feels like it did in my 30s. Like I feel
it works, huh?
Completely. And I've seen a bunch of people. Like I'll usually run into someone I know walking out of there when I go in, and it takes 15 minutes. It's not expensive.
Do I have to get naked?
You could,
but I don't have
probably
to.
You don't have to. Yeah, it's optional.
I think that is totally bizarre, but also I'll accept that it was more than bizarre.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be. And it takes a few times. Like I went, she says an average of like 10 times. You don't have to, like if you miss a week, it's not like your brain goes back to sleep. And once your brain's awake, it's awake. But if you get COVID again, or because COVID, they found that COVID kind of does that. It kind of puts your brain in delta. And they're seeing a lot of success with this with COVID patients. They do it a lot for childhood trauma. For kids, like they treated a lot of the Covenant kids. They help them process the trauma quickly, and it helps them be able to move through it better. They also work with, if you've ever had a concussion, if you've ever hit your head, you'll see it on the computer. You'll see the spot on your head. It's pretty crazy.
You ever had acupuncture?
Yes.
I've been going every week.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if it is though.
I mean, I guess it's great. What do you go for?
I don't sleep, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And I think I used to wear it as a badge of honor. Now it physically hurts me.
Yeah, because sleep is so important.
Yeah.
I think the Brain Lady will help you with your sleep. I do. I believe that.
Have
you ever had dry needling?
Yeah. Yeah, only for injuries though.
Yeah. I do it for about once a month for because I strength train 3 times a week, and I'm also older, and so everything
You
always
have to
hurts.
stop saying you're older.
I am. I'm a lot older than you.
You act like you're somebody
I'm your mom.
who watches Dancing with the Stars and comes up to me and goes, I watch Dancing with the
I
Stars.
love you, Bobby Bones.
Yes. Yeah. Bringing the Angels.
Yeah.
I'm always curious about track ones of every project from everybody. Like, why? Is there a reason? Is it tempo? Is it the message? Like, why? What's that song about, and why is it track one?
I mean, yes and yes and yes to all that, but also sometimes for me, track one always just shows itself, and I don't have a really great explanation for why. The first song and the last song always kind of scream themselves to me, and then you got to figure out how the rest of them fit. But Leslie Satcher, who is a co-writer on a lot of these songs, she was the catalyst that kept calling me. Every time I would say I'm not a writer, she'd call me back and say, Trisha Yearwood, you're a writer, we're going to write. And we would book an appointment, and I would fake an asthma attack and not show up. And finally we wrote. And this song, she said, I want us to write, I feel like we need to write some kind of a gospel thing. And I said, well, I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a wear it on my sleeve kind of, card carrying person in that way. But I'm interested in writing something like that. And Bridget Tatum, who is a badass, came over, and we've written together, the three of us, several times. And we were just batting around ideas about not wanting it to be some kind of like a hymn, but like something really tough. And my sister Beth was in the house, and she came by to say hi to them, and we were just talking, and Beth was kind of sitting in, and we were having our coffee, and Beth said, well, I'm going to get out of here, but you guys you're bringing the Angels today. And we're like, well, she's a co-writer now, because that's the song. And Leslie starts every song at the first line. She just starts singing, and she just started singing, somebody ought to get hell on the line. I'm like, well, I don't know what this song is, but I love it already. So I love that it's just, and it is a tempo. It does kind of set the stage for, like, you're not sure what to expect. We're just gonna be in your face with the first song.
Do last song now.
Last song is When October Settles In, which is, interestingly, the first song I wrote when this whole portal opened.
Why did the portal open? I want to take another step back.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I had just blocked it, or I don't know. I'm pretty zen, and I'm pretty I really believe things happen when they're supposed to. And I don't think I could have written a lot of these songs. I know I couldn't have written these songs in my 20s. So maybe things happen when they're supposed to. But I think what happened was, Leslie, I really do credit her. I give her a special thank you in the notes on the record, because she was just persistent. She believed in me more than I believed in myself, and she kept calling, kept pushing. So that first writing session that I showed up to, she had booked us with Steve Dorff, who's a famous songwriter, right? And I go in, and I have my sheets of paper that I have written my thoughts and one-liners on for 20 years. And I don't want to show it to anybody, because I'm scared that they're going to go, all this sucks. And Leslie just finally just says, give me the paper. So I hand her the papers, and she's reading through all my stuff. And she says, what's this When October Settles In thing? And I said, well, it's kind of sad. I mean, my mom passed away in October, and I don't think about the date coming up, but you feel it, the weather change, you feel it coming, and you're like, oh, that's what it is. And so we wrote this song, and it when I left there that day, I was so emotional. And I'm not an emotional person. I'm more emotional now than I used to be, but I'm not a crier. I'm married to a crier, but I'm not that girl. But I got in the car, and I was really emotional. And I think it was two things. I think one was, obviously, it was a song about my mom for me, so it was really emotional in that way. But also, I realized I can do this. I didn't sit in the room. I contributed to that, session, and I knew in that moment I can do this. And that was when the "You're Not a Songwriter" went out the door. I don't know. I can't explain why in one session. It wasn't like I gradually came to it. It was like, oh no, that's not the truth. This is the truth.
Like that.
Yeah.
So tell me about the song then. It's about your mom?
It's about my mom. I mean, we made it to where you can make it to be for whatever for, but it really just talks about, I don't need to see the calendar. I don't need to know the date. It's like you feel it in your bones. And my friends know not to call me. It's just me when October settles in. It's a ballad. And it's it's a piano vocal. We end up putting just a 4-string thing on it. Really simple. And I just couldn't imagine what would come after that on the record.
How long ago did your mom die?
2011.
That feeling is mostly around my mom's birthday, more so than when she died. But I know, and I know exactly what you're talking about
Right.
because it just feels, and I won't say different because nobody else feels it, but it just there's just a feeling to around her birthday, like something really personal. And I'm not much of an external feeler, but I do get very externy feely around that time.
Yeah. And I think, I'm not the person who likes to dwell on, like, I'm not sitting here going, and my mom's birthday was in November, so maybe it's the beginning of fall and it all just kind of comes at the same time. But I'm not the person, like, I don't want to, I don't want to just talk about who died this week. And I'm not that person, but I feel, and I miss my mom and dad every day, but I feel them with me. So I don't mourn them in a sad way every day at all, because I find joy in all of the things that are me that I got from them. But I do think that you definitely feel it when one of the string players on the session, he came in. I've known him for years, and he just said when after he heard the song, he said, "Who did you lose?" And I said, "My mom." And he goes, "Yeah, for me it was my son." And he said, "It's May for me." So I think there is that feeling you're not looking for it. It
Right.
just shows up.
Yeah. I was at the Opry last night, and I had some friends in town that live in Indiana, and so they came in and I was kind of showing them around, and they were asking about Hee Haw, which I grew up watching Hee Haw. My grandma grew up watching Hee Haw, so I watched Hee Haw. Did you do Hee Haw ever?
I did it once.
Because that was like right when it was ending.
It was, and they were done with the cornfield, so the cornfield became a mall.
It was this still over in the Opry building, the other side of the Opry building, right?
I was probably on the last season because it was ending. And I just did it the one time, and I don't even think I did any of the skits. I think I just performed.
What did you sing?
She's in Love the Boy, because it was right in the 91.
You've been in Nashville through some seasons, including like the television show Nashville, which that's when I moved here, when that show was happening. Were you ever on that show?
Mm-mm. Yes, I did. I played Trisha Yearwood.
I played myself too. I literally played me.
I was there for like 5 minutes. It was an award show. It was like a CMA, and I went out to do a presenting thing. That I was on there for just 5 minutes. What's interesting about that is long before Nashville, they did it. There was a show that I did. X's and O's was the theme song for a pilot for a potential show about Nashville. And I think the show was called X's and O's. I can't remember. It might have been called Nashville, but it was. But Pam Tillis was in it. Manuel was in it. I was not in it, but I sang that theme song for it. And then they didn't pick up. They did like a 2-hour movie, and they didn't pick up the series. But it was really a precursor to this show, which I loved. I thought it was a great postcard for tourism for Nashville.
Nashville, the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the first few seasons were awesome.
Yeah.
Because when it started, I was still in Texas. And then when we moved here, it was like right in the prime of it. And it was, I dabbled in acting. I'm not an actor, but they had put me in a couple things. And then they had me play myself, but I had real life lines. And even if you're playing yourself, it's weird.
It's very hard to be it's very hard, even when you're playing yourself, to say the lines.
It's weird.
Yeah.
All the cameras were on me, and I'm with all these seasoned pros, and I like don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to make them reshoot. I was so nervous playing me.
Yeah.
And that was a bizarre feeling to be nervous playing me, because I was doing a scene with Connie, and I had like 8 lines. So it was enough that I definitely could mess it up. And I felt like a baby bird, like just a trembling, shaky little baby bird.
Yeah. It's weird because you're playing yourself, but you have to hit a mark. You have to look at a certain way. You've got other people in the scene counting on you, and you're saying lines that you didn't write, even though they're
supposed to be from me.
Supposed to be, yeah.
You're right. People are counting on me in a way that I don't. I count on me, and I count on others to count on me, but I'm going to lead it. Like, that's everything that I do now.
Yeah.
That situation was not that, and I think that's why it was so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm the same way. I'm a Virgo, so I like to control every situation anyway.
What is that? What Virgo does?
Yeah, we're controlling. We're very detailed, and we're a little controlling, and we're perfectionists. And
how much do you believe this stuff?
I believe it. I do.
Don't you feel like anybody could just say they have Virgo traits and be like, I'm a Virgo?
Well, I do think that it's interesting if I don't read my horoscope every day or anything. I'm not that girl, but I do think when you read about each one, that you can see yourself in what you are.
But
What are you? Do you know?
Yeah. But I
You
feel like,
don't.
I feel like what you just said, I'm a Virgo now. I identify as a Virgo. How about that?
Well, that's fine.
Yes.
You can totally.
I'm an Aries.
Yeah. My dad was an Aries.
But I mean, that just...
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know.
It's fun.
So people ask me what my Enneagram number is. I don't know. I don't know.
See, I'm into that.
I don't know. I've taken the test a few times and I'm different every time. But see, I feel like
There's
I'm trying to impress.
But there's got to be a number for that. If you take it every time and you're different, you need your own like special number.
Yeah, I'm trying to impress the test.
Mm.
Because the questions are like, would you do? How are you in this? And I'm like, am I really a good person? Do I check that? Am I 5 here or am I 2? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
People pleaser.
Yeah.
Are you generally a people pleaser?
Generally, I'm getting better. Yeah, because I was raised to not, rock the boat, and I want everybody to be happy, and I don't like it when people aren't happy with me. But I feel it when somebody's in a bad mood. I feel it in my body, and I hate that.
What about codependency? Do you ever fall into those traps?
I think so. I think I have all of it.
I didn't think I did. As a matter of fact, I know I did, and I know I wasn't a people pleaser professionally, but that's all I had, right? I never had much of a personal life because it was block out everything personal because that hurts, and let's just chase professional, and let's get out of the hole. And that's what I thought I was doing, but really I was just running away from the actual hole, which ain't so bad when you address it. So, but forever I was like, not a people pleaser at all. Then I met my wife. I was not codependent at all. Then I met my wife. And we go to couples counseling every other week. And we've been going since we got married.
Which is great.
It's the greatest thing for us because it has taught me that everything uncomfortable doesn't mean don't touch it. Like, that's really what I take away from those sessions.
Yeah.
Because I would just not want her to be mad or sad or insert whatever emotion that wasn't positive, and it would affect me in such a way that by it affecting me so much, it would affect her even more. And I really learned what codependency was through me getting married and never having anything personal that meant anything to me, really, and then having something that meant everything to me, and then having to adjust again. But it was the greatest adjustment.
Yeah.
Because I never had any sort of, I feel this towards anybody, any personal, cut anybody out, no problem.
But for me, the people pleasing thing is also is terrible for so many reasons, because what I do is I will say yes to something I don't want to do, or I will, go along with something I don't want to go along with. But you're going to know, because I'm going to be passive aggressive about it, that I don't like it. Instead of just saying, hey, that's just not me. I appreciate you asking, but I'm
Can
not
you do
gonna
that now, though, better?
I think I'm getting better, but
Yeah.
I still do it. I still have to really fight it. Because there's that, my sister and I talk about this a lot. My sister's older than me, and she's a few years older than me, and she has really had to fight the people pleaser gene. Because I at least got into the music industry and realized I'm a boss. And I have to stand up for myself. I have to say what I need. I have to hire and fire people. I had to learn, but she never did that. She went to school and she has a PhD in animal nutrition, but she got married and had children and decided raising her children was her profession, which is honorable. So she's not had to have the confrontational things that I've had to do. I've learned every time I have the conversation that's hard, I'm better for it.
Me too.
And I dreaded it forever, and it was always turned out, I'm glad I did it, but it's never easy.
And I still dread doing it, even though I know that it has always made me in some way better.
Yeah.
But,
and if you don't deal with whatever the thing is, it's going to keep coming.
Yeah.
You don't, until you learn the lesson, it keeps coming back around.
But I don't know that I've fully learned the lesson, even though I know the lesson now. Yeah. I don't know that I fully have learned it, because I still am like, oh, man, sometimes I just don't want to do it.
Well, that's living, right? So you just get better at it and you work toward it, and hopefully by in 20 years, you'll be like, I've got this down.
I'll be like, I'm so old. And someone will be like, dude, you're not that old. I'm like, well, Trisha, she's 60,
Trisha's
acting
60,
like she's about to die tomorrow.
I'm in an industry that's young, and I get these girls are like, oh, I'm turning 40. I'm like, oh, it's such a cute age. Like, shut up.
I love the title, Fragile Like a Bomb.
Yeah.
The title, who had the title, or did the title come up through the writing process?
I had the title, Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a quote that attributed to her about women, and she said, not fragile like a flower, fragile like a bomb. And I just love that quote. And so I was sitting with Chad Carlson, co-writer, and Melissa Fuller, and we were talking about a friend of mine who I love dearly, who is successful in every way, but allows this guy that she dates to treat her not well, and doesn't see the beauty and the glory, in her. And I'm like, she's she seems like such a badass, but inside she's tender. She's fragile like a bomb. And they'd not heard the saying. And they're like, we need to write that. And so that's kind of where it came from. And I love that song because it really talks about you see her from the outside. She's just this amazing person. But you don't see the inside. You don't see how that she doesn't sleep at night. You don't see these things about her. You don't recognize how incredible she is. And that's kind of how that came about.
Final question. Name 3 things that you love that have nothing to do with cooking or music or family. Because I think those are obvious, especially with you, the cooking part. Mine wouldn't be cooking.
Yeah.
But name 3 things that you love that aren't those 3.
Nature, hiking.
Why?
It's like meditation for me. And that the dogs fold into that. I'm a animal freak. I worry about every animal in the world. When I say my prayers at night, I'm praying for the deer out in the, it's raining tonight, whatever. I'm that girl. So, and those 2 things go together. I love getting to watch my dogs on the trail because we hike about a 3.5 mile trail. They get 6 miles to my 3. I love to see them get to be dogs and do their thing. It's one of my favorite things in the world. What else do I really love that has nothing to do with those other things? I love to crochet.
Most people I know that love to crochet or knit, or it's to get their mind off of things.
Yeah.
Because it's focus.
Yes.
Is that why?
Yes.
It feels very much like nature when you said meditation, which is focus.
Yeah.
So you love the focus of crocheting?
Yeah, I think so. And I started doing it in high school because somebody gave me a crochet kit and I just did it and it was fun. And then it was like, okay, I'm trying not to eat at night. So if I have an Afghan in my lap that I'm crocheting and my hands are moving, I'm not going to be eating potato chips at 10 o'clock at night. So it's also a tool for that. But it is I love it because it is a way to decompress where your mind just can't, because my mind will just go to a million things. You have to focus on the project in front of you, and you see something for your effort. You're seeing something being made. You're not sitting there just playing a video game or something on your phone. You're actually doing something that is going to give you something at the end of it. So I like it for that too.
So we got nature, we got crocheting.
Yeah. Do dogs fit in there?
No.
Okay. All right.
That's like family.
Yeah. What else? What else do I like to do, Mandy?
You can't go to somebody else for what you like to do.
Did you say
That's
pickleball?
Wait.
The beach. Oh, beach or pickleball?
You just use a lifeline on a question about you.
I did. I phoned a friend.
So the beach. You love the beach.
I love the beach. I saw you had a pickleball card. I also love pickleball. The beach for me, and Garth says this about me. He goes, I love being around you, but when you get to the beach, you're different. It's like I feel the weight just go off my shoulders. And when I was a kid, we would go to the beach for 3 days. My dad didn't like to be gone for more than 3 nights, 4 days. So we'd go to the beach and basically turn around and come home. You weren't there very long. So I always felt like I got like a taste of the beach, but never got to really just be on the beach. So that is my happy place. That's kind of a recharge for me, is to just go. And I like to walk the beach. I like to look for shells, and I like to, sand dollars, full sand dollars that are untouched are my favorite thing in the world. And just the being and hearing the surf, like all of that for me is like healing.
Are you able to sing any of your massive hits in another language?
No.
Have you had to ever?
No. I've had to sing in a foreign language before, but not one of my songs. I had to sing. I sang in Italy with Pavarotti, and we sang in Latin.
Wait, what?
That was just a thing I did. Yeah.
Wait, what?
I know. He did he used to do every year he had a charity event for war children of Liberia. It was a big thing, and it was filmed, and I got invited one year. And it was me and like a couple of Spice Girls and like Vanessa Williams and Celine Dion and Bon Jovi. Like it was a eclectic group of people and me. And we sang "O Come All Ye Faithful," but we did it we sang in English and Latin, Adeste Fidelis. And because he didn't speak English and I didn't speak Italian, and so we basically sang in Latin. It was wild, but it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really awesome.
It was really awesome.
I mean, he can sing.
It was amazing, and that was the moment I just
But he can sing, right? I mean, I know he can sing, but is it like next level?
It is. It's his full body. I mean, it was like I've never. I mean, I sang some operetta in college, and it's a different it's a way to use your voice in a completely different way, which most people can kind of mimic. If you're a singer, you can kind of do it a little, but to be a trained classical singer like that is, I mean, the breathing and the using the diaphragm and everything is all the same, but there's something different, and there are people that it's just like any singer. There are people. Everybody can't be, Whitney Houston. It's like there's a specialness there, and he definitely had it.
That's really cool. That story just fell out of your pocket too.
It did.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, we're going to do one thing, and we just leave this all in, the very long-form version of this. But so we're going to play The Mirror on the National Countdown show. And so what will happen is I'll take a part of it and just put it in the show. And so I'm just going to set you up. So 45 seconds, which is a long time, but used in that capacity, tell me about The Mirror before I play it.
The Mirror is a collection of songs that really represent every part of me. There were a lot of songs. I probably wrote, there's 15 songs on the CD. I probably wrote 75 songs in this couple of years time period. And I had to really go through and go, okay, there's so many songs to your younger self. You got to pick the ones that really, really resonate. So there are a lot of songs that are encouraging, I think, to the younger self that I can't wait for you to get here because you're gonna get it once you get to be me now. 2 songs that talk about I made these mistakes that I thought were mistakes at the time, but I've now forgiven myself because you don't know till you know. And this is where you are now. So that's part of the journey. And then the other part of the journey was there's a big side of me that just likes to have fun. And so there are, even Bringing the Angels is a song that is, while being about a serious topic about, like I believe that my angels, I believe my mom and dad are in my corner, helping me out down here. But it's a badass, like, I'm going to roll up my sleeves, like bring it. Cause I've got an army behind me. I like that. And then there's a couple of songs like Drunk Works. I almost didn't put on the record cause it's really about girls going out and having too much to drink, but it's fun. And then there's a song called The Shovel that is just a fun song about going to the Waffle House with your significant other, and he says the wrong thing, and he just keeps saying the wrong thing, and he can't dig out of the hole. And that's a fun one too. So it's a journey of songs to your younger self, but kind of there's a lot of people in here, and I guess they're all represented.
What about this song, The Mirror? Why did you name the whole record after the song? Tell me about the song.
The Mirror seemed like the perfect title because for the first time in my career, it truly is a full album of reflection. It really is an album of like, this is who I am, this is who I've been. And The Mirror talks about that, how hard we are on ourselves. And I will say women, but men and women too, we're so hard on ourselves, we pick ourselves apart. And if you can kind of figure out how to, the hook line is, you've always been the girl in the mirror. It's like she sees herself and she's like, oh, she looks good. I like what she's doing. And you don't realize that's me. I'm so used to picking myself apart. Like you talked about earlier, being able to say you're proud and looking at your career and your life from a different perspective. If we could see ourselves outside ourselves, we would like ourselves a lot more. We just we work so hard on pulling ourselves apart. So that The Mirror, that song is really about, you're okay. And you need to, I've always seen what you're now finally seeing.
All right. Final question. That's brilliant, by the way. You nailed that.
Well, thank you.
Right in the countdown. We have to edit that. Just take it and put it right in there. What are you going to do the rest of the day? Are you done now?
I'm not done. I am leaving to go do another interview where I talk about my album. Then I'm going over to Friends in Low Places, this bar that I co-own, and I'm doing another interview. But I'm talking with some of the songwriters on the record. We're going to do a piece for the Tennessean.
Well, you're right in the middle of it.
I am.
How many days are you doing in a row of this?
This is just today.
All in one day.
I won't get out of bed tomorrow. Yeah. I like to kind of do it all. I like to do it all when I'm working. I like to work, and we're gearing up because when the album comes out July 18th, that's the week that is going to be crazy. For a couple of weeks, it's going to be crazy.
If I have to do any sort of satellite tour, and you just go from one city to the next, you sit in one chair. Yep. You've done this more times than I have, but you sit in one chair. And you just go interview to interview. And sometimes you don't even see the people. You just hear their voices. And you do 7-8 minutes. I will forget what questions I've even answered in that segment.
Oh, yeah.
And have to start worrying if I'm doubling up. Are you at that phase of the day yet?
No.
Oh, good.
Not yet.
Awesome. I mean, if you were, I'd be like, I feel you. I totally understand. Well, I always love having you around.
Well, thank you.
Aside from
Same. It's been a while.
It has been. We haven't even been recording this. So you ready to hit record, Mike?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, so
I'll hit it now.
Let's do
I'm ready.
Let's do
I'm
the
totally
real
ready.
one. Congratulations on the record. Mostly because congratulations on the record to you.
Thank you. I'm really happy. And you probably don't have a CD player anymore, but I don't have the vinyl yet, but I brought you a CD so you can go to somebody's car and listen to it if you want to. I know you've heard it, but
Yeah, I've heard it. But I'm thinking when you asked that, but I heard it through a digital link.
I don't have a CD player in my car. But I have a CD.
Yeah, I'm like, where do I even find a CD?
Yeah,
I
where
know
do you
I
have
want
one?
it. I want it for the aesthetic.
Right.
I should have put it up on the table. But yeah, I don't know where I did see. I'm gonna keep it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You guys, The Mirror, check it out. Trisha, always great to see you. What I'm going to do from this though is I'm gonna get that meatloaf mix.
Yes.
If it's
And
that
use
good,
it with your Impossible Burger.
yes. If it's that good,
It is.
we're in because we always look for new ways for me not to eat red meat, but for me to trick myself into thinking I'm eating red meat.
Yeah.
And if that's the way to go, that's what we're gonna do. All right, that's it.
Thank you.